What it means is that within a year, you will need 4,000 multiplied by 12 months. That is 48,000 cedis. Now, if you have investment of 300,000 cedis, and you can make an interest of 20% on 300,000 cedis, what it means is that within a year, you are making interest of 60,000 Ghana cedis. When in fact, what you need for your desired lifestyle is 48,000, less than 50,000. At that point, you work because you want to work. Because if you choose not to work, the interest is enough to take care of you.
Indeed.
So we are pushing towards viewers and our followers becoming financially independent. And my mantra is financial independence is possible. And so that is the meaning of financial independence. But not everybody will become financially independent because there are limitations, and it's important we discuss these limitations so people can apply their minds to these limitations so they can get around the limitations and become financially independent.
Okay, somebody once said, let's start with first things first. Let's start with the beginning. What is the biggest limitation to achieving financial independence for the majority of the people?
For me, I think the biggest limitation is the lack of choice, or that indecision, or the lack of decision, where people never make a decision. People never sit down at a point in time and then tell themselves that I want to be financially independent. For me, it's the most important one, taking a decision to become financially independent. So the lack of that decision is a limitation, because you see, poverty and riches are both based on decisions. If you don't decide to be rich, you will be poor. Okay, so for me, the biggest one is the lack of that decision. Most people have not made a decision because they just look at their situation at the moment. We are not here to tell you that next year you'll become financially independent. And we are not even saying it's going to happen in 5 years. We are saying that it can happen in a lifetime. So a decision needs to be made at a point in time. I was looking at something from my book, Financial Independence is Possible. And let me take this quotation from Manoff Aurora. He says, you do pay a price for your financial freedom, but it is far lesser than what you pay for a lifetime slavery. You do pay a price. When you make that choice, you do pay a price. You may have to stop some things, change some things in your life, but if you don't pay that price is far lesser than what you pay for a lifetime slavery.
In other words, nothing good comes easy. There's
exactly.
a cost. But the cost of not thinking about these things or not doing anything is far greater than you taking a decision to change
your because if you don't make that choice, you are heading for lifetime slavery. I'm sure you have heard of people when they are closing into 60, they want to change their age because they are not ready for the reality after retirement. You know, so for me, the first and most important one is that choice that needs to be made. And if you are watching us, you haven't made that choice, we are encouraging you. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen next year. I know the salary is not enough, and I know that people are struggling and all that, but a decision needs to be made at a point in time that, look, I want to be financially independent.
Indeed.
Yeah, so that is the first limitation.
Okay, what are the other limitations apart from the lack of decision?
Yes, the second limitation for me is the absence of a financial plan. You see, you will not find any great building without a plan. You will not find any great project without a plan. There is a law called the law of first creation that says everything is created twice, first mentally and the second physically. Without the first creation, you cannot have the second creation. Financial freedom must be created twice. Financial independence must be created twice. First, mentally. So you need to, at a point in time, sit down and ask yourself, where do I find myself so far as finances are concerned? And where do I want to get to? Another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And you need to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, too bad. So anybody who will become financially independent knows that, look, I have a plan, and what I am doing will make me financially independent. So for those of us who are planners, when clients come to us, we sit down Client says, I want to make 10 million cedis by the time I'm 60. How old are you? I'm 45. How much cash do you have today? Client says, I have 200,000 or 500,000 cedis. Then the job of the planner is to look at, with your 200,000, what will be the future value at age 60? What will be the gap? So the future value, and I haven't done any analysis. So the future value of that 500,000 in the next 15 years, maybe let's say 7 million, 8 million cedis. Then the planner tells you that there is a gap of 3 million we need to cover. And we need to do A, B, C, D. You either look for some lump sum today to fill in that gap. Of course, lump sum with the future value that will come up to the 3 million, or you make a monthly commitment of so much so we can fill into that gap. So it's important. If you don't have a plan, too bad. You need to have a financial plan. Get a financial planner, sit down and have a plan. And we plan for various areas. We plan for retirement, we plan for housing, we plan for your children's education, we plan for charity, giving back to society. We plan for high life, enjoying life. It's also important, but it must all come into planning. So for me, the second one is the absence of a plan, and most people don't have a financial plan. I have a financial plan. So beginning of the year, I knew where I was. End of the year, I have my target where I want to get to. On a monthly basis, I have an idea what commitment I need to be making on a monthly basis to get there. So you need to have a plan. Long-term plan, medium-term plan, short-term plan. Long-term plan, we want to make 10 million cedis by 60. We are 45 now. Medium-term plan, in another 5 years, we want to be worth 3 million Ghana cedis. Short-term plan, we are in 2018. By the end of 2018, we want to make our first 200,000 cedis. So you need to have a plan. Long term, that will be broken down to medium term and then to short term. So we are deliberate and conscious about becoming financially independent. So number 2 is that lack of financial plan.
Okay, in case you joined us, we're looking at the limitations to financial independence. My guest is Paul Kofi. Mante is a financial planner with Ecobank, and we're just taking you through the steps. So the biggest limitation is lack of a decision, no decision at all. And second limitation, lack of a plan, failing to plan. What's the third limitation to?
Once you said failing to plan, I remember this. Failing to plan is planning to fail.
Okay.
If you don't plan, it's a plan. And the plan is that you will fail because you have no plan. The third limitation I want to talk about is procrastination. Procrastination, deferring an action that needs to be taken. We've been doing this over the weeks or months. We've been talking about money, and I get so many messages, social media, Facebook, people are enjoying the program, but very few people take action. So they listen to it, they get excited, but they procrastinate.
What is the number one cause of procrastination? Why do people put off to tomorrow what they should be doing today?
Okay, let me answer it. Because financial independence for most people is important, but it's not urgent. You are 40 years, you are 35 years, somebody is talking to you about retirement. You know you have 25 years to go. So even though it's important, it's not urgent. People tend to spend their life on things that are urgent. So you may find things that are urgent, that are important, great. But majority of the things that are urgent may not be important in the long term. So it's pressing, it needs to be done like tomorrow. You need to buy electricity credits, you need to pay the school fees, you need to pay rent. It's pressing, so you need to act on them now. But if you are not careful, you would focus on the urgent things to the neglect of the important things. So people procrastinate because we're talking about financial independence, and that young man or that young woman watching this show who is 30 years feels like, look, I have so much time, so what is the big deal? But the more time you have, the easier it becomes to plan. So the third one is the procrastination. People are believing that when I get a promotion, I will start. When my salary increases, when things get better, when my party comes to power, people have all kinds of funny ideas waiting. But once you procrastinate, and one of the things I've seen about this subject matter is when you will listen to it and you feel the fire in your bones and you don't take time. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month,
fire
2
dies.
months, the fire dies and nothing happens. So procrastination is a major limitations. There are times you go to a church for a presentation, somebody says, oh, last 2 years I listened to you on City whatever, or on Star FM, DH1, I listened to your show. That was a great show. I was so excited.
And I'm sure your next question is, what did you do?
What did you do?
Yeah.
And majority of them did nothing. And so far as you fail to act, nothing will happen.
Is it that people think that, well, what I have is too little to make a difference, so I'm waiting for some big money? Is that one of the, what's the most common excuse you get?
The most common excuse is the salary is not enough. And that is the number one.
But you give examples of people who were not earning much,
oh,
but
yes.
were able to retire.
You remember we brought that young man here, Patrick,
yes,
who built the house in 3 years or so, or 4 years. And combined family income, I think, was less than 3,000 cedis. I have a young couple, when they married, their combined income was 2,000 cedis. But once you apply your mind to it, in less than 3 years, they had built their 3-bedroom house. So the point of the salary not being enough, I cannot take it. And please don't get offended, don't get me wrong. Because you see, you remember we mentioned the Parkinson law on this show. The Parkinson law explains why most people retire poor, even after earning substantial income through their working years. Because people tend to spend a little bit more than their salary. It doesn't matter the salary level. And I've seen people who earn 20,000 a month, 30,000, 40,000 a month, who still complain that the salary is not enough. But because the issue is with the lifestyle. You can easily buy one seed for $4,000 if you want to.
And I guess that's why that explains a picture I saw recently where Bill Gates went to some lavish wedding in Nigeria, and he was sitting in the midst of all the guests, and I think he was easily the wealthiest man in that room, but he looked like the simplest man in that room. Very simple. In the midst of people who were supposed to be very rich, but he was far richer than all of them. So the lifestyle.
It's the lifestyle. Of course, I know he has stuff. Okay, but he deserves it at this point. He's made so much money for himself. But the challenge is those who are starting, who are struggling. So you are living in a rented house, but you are driving the latest 4-wheel. So sometimes it's the priority.
Is the pressure to flex also a problem? To show people that, Charlie, maybe this.
Yes, so that is another limitation. That is another limitation. I call it the impression mentality. The impression mentality is a limitation where you want to impress people. So people are trying to impress rather than planning the future. So they are living a lie rather than a life. So there is a big party and I need to go with a beautiful car. So even if I don't have one, then I need to talk to CAF to find out if your car is available for this weekend so I could use it. You know, so procrastination is one, but you brought another important one, which is one of the things I have flagged as limitations, the impression mentality. We dress to impress, we drive to impress, we live in houses to impress. I was in a seminar somewhere and a gentleman came to see me after the program. Now look, I am under so much pressure because we live in a 3-bedroom house in one of the regions. But the problem is that my wife says the neighborhood is not good enough for her family members and friends. So my wife is giving me so much pressure to move out, even though she knows our salary cannot afford where she wants us to move to. So the wife has gone to find a place, negotiated with landlord, and this guy is going to pick a loan
to fund that.
Exactly. And I'm talking practical. To fund that house, because the wife, if for flex, you know,
for flex,
people for no say it to it some, you know. So the impression mentality is a big problem. See, I mentioned this the other day. Your salary must dictate what you eat, not your appetite.
Okay, so so if you're earning 500 cedis a month, don't be thinking of some 5-star hotel to go and eat.
There is a salary level where you can do breakfast like in Pisky. You would be fine.
Yes.
But there is a salary level you need to do cocoa.
Yes, ma'am.
With kose in the morning. You will also be fine.
Also healthy.
Also healthy. But there is even a salary level you don't do breakfast. You do what I call brunch.
011.
You wait in the morning, you pretend as if you are fasting.
My brother, it's strategic.
It's strategic fasting. Between 10 and 11, you look for something heavy.
Gary and beans, a lot of water.
With 2 sachets of water by the side.
Prefer the concrete.
You finish that and you can be sure that you will travel to 6 p.m. without fail.
And it's strategic.
Exactly. Yeah. So the impression mentality, your salary must dictate what you wear.
Not your appetite or your fashion sense.
Not exactly. You know, your salary must dictate what you drive. If you cannot afford it, you cannot afford it.
Simple.
You see, the beautiful thing is, if you understand what we are discussing, it's just a matter of time. These things we are saying that you can't afford, at that point in time, you can buy them without feeling. You know, so the impression mentality is a big problem.
I think it's for no reason that the last 4 letters of impress are also the first letters of pressure. So if you want to impress your people, you put yourself under so much pressure. And I think that limitation is a very key one for a lot of people.
Yes.
Are these all the limitations, or do you have?
Oh, there are several.
Give me a couple more. Give me a couple more.
Another one is excuses.
Okay.
And you see, excuses here means that you want to look for a reason why you cannot become financially independent. My father never helped me. My uncle promised me.
I hear that all the time.
You know,
so no help. There's no help.
There's no help. Ghana people are wicked. The rich don't help.
The Ghana people are wicked.
Yes, they are rich. They drive their cars. They don't help those of us who are struggling. Look, if somebody helps you, great. But nobody owes you help.
Indeed.
You got to take personal responsibility and say that, look, this is the future I want. I want to be financially independent, and I'm going to work towards that. So excuses is another limitation. Another limitation is blame. Blame, where we point fingers at others. We think that it's because of this party in power. It's because of under NDC, people made a lot of money.
Indeed.
Under MPP, people will still make money. And when NDC comes again, people will make money. When MPP comes, people will make money.
I heard even in war zones, Somalia, people were making money in those tough circumstances.
Exactly, exactly. You see, to become financially independent, you have to be an optimist. You need to be a person who looks out for opportunities than problems. In this country where we are complaining, this same country, people are making money.
Indeed.
I'm a fund manager. In my small office, we're managing 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. So I can tell you that there is money in this country.
Because that money belongs to people.
Exactly.
In the sum of it.
Oh, yes, it belongs to people. So people have money right in this country. You know, so the blame, we need to deal with blame if we want to become financially independent. Don't look. In fact, at the point you need to take a decision that, look, I'm responsible for my future. I'm responsible for my own life. Other people may come to help me. Your employer is not responsible for your financial independence. You got to take responsibility.
Indeed.
So you don't blame somebody for your financial predicament. You may have challenges, but don't blame. You see, and the thing is that once you start blaming people, automatically your mind goes to sleep. You are not able to think on your feet.
Because it's a crutch.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's another major limitation.
Indeed. Time is our limitation right now, but I have a strong feeling that, God willing, next week we'll continue the limitations. But let me just run them through for you. So Paul talked about the biggest one being the lack of a decision. You have to act if you want to be financially independent. If you don't have a plan, that's a big limitation. If you procrastinate, if you put off what you should be doing today till tomorrow, any other date in time, it's a big limitation. If you want to impress, you're only putting yourself under pressure. That's a big limitation. If you are always finding excuses for why you can't get to this level, it's also a limitation. And then the culture of, or the practice of blaming other things and other circumstances for your situation. These are the 6 limitations that we have gone through. And God willing, next week we'll continue the limitations.
Yes.
You can follow Paul Kofi Minte across social media on Instagram.
Kofi Mante.
Yes, he's on Twitter. He's on Facebook as well. Get in touch, get the books, and get the knowledge, and most importantly, act. Like I'll be doing in a short while. We've got Kwesi Oting coming around the corner with Biswa. He's got something very interesting up his sleeves. You don't want to go anywhere. Stay with us.
Jumia is turning 6 with a bang. Starting the 16th of July, join the celebration and get jaw-dropping deal offers. Are you looking for a brand new mobile phone at the best price? Brand new television with warranty to watch your favorite TV shows? Or is it a fancy shoe for your next party? Find it on Jumia. For our birthday, Jumia is offering up to a 70% discount on more than 50,000 deals for genuine products delivered all across Ghana. And you pay only when it's delivered. Jumia, the online shop you can trust.
Welcome to Sweet Spirit Hotel and